featuring 8 WWE Hall of Famers, 3 huge championship matches, and attended by over 74,000 members of the WWE Universe. Ladies, gentlemen, my non-binary friends, it is I, Josh Robinson, here for the Season 4 debut, and we're looking at the Legacy of WrestleMania 24. On March 30th, 2008, WWE held, in my opinion, what is one of the better WrestleManias of all time, WrestleMania 24, WrestleMania XXIV, if you're talking in Roman numerals. Welcome back, friends. It is Season 4 of the Legacy of here on Love Wrestling. We're kicking off this 8-episode season on WrestleMania weekend, so what better to talk about on WrestleMania weekend than previous WrestleManias? And WrestleMania 24 was in Orlando, Florida. It featured some cool matches, 9 huge matches to be exact. A super card of scheduling of more than one main event, I should say. And I think this was one of the earlier WrestleManias to really feature multiple main events in the terms of there's not one headlining thing anymore. Multiple things will draw you into this card. And I think we better run it down. We're going to run down this card and go through why WrestleMania 24 needs to be celebrated, needs to be talked about, needs to be featured a little more than I think everybody does. The night started off with John Bradshaw Layfield defeating Finlay in 8 minutes and 43 seconds in a Belfast Brawl. Now, if you don't know what a Belfast Brawl is, it's basically an Irish hardcore match, and it's really cool, alright? There was a spot in this match where Finlay went to do a suicide dive through the middle ropes and JBL hit him with a trash can lid, and I thought it was cool. I'm just popping that in there as own personal opinion. But anyway, back to all the facts and stuff like that. Like I said, 8 minutes and 43 seconds to kick off the night on WrestleMania 24. Now, I think this is going to be a theme throughout this episode of The Legacy of, a little bit of a different Legacy of to kick off the season. I'm going to ask you every time on every one of these matches, if this was your favorite match, put it in the comments below. Tell us what you loved about the opening contest, JBL, Finlay with Hornswoggle in a Belfast Brawl. Back in the mid to late 2000s, the Money in the Bank ladder match was a staple of WrestleMania. I think it added to the card, I think it made things a little bit more interesting, and it always got people on the show. I think Money in the Bank is something that we all love now as its own standalone pay-per-view, but I think there's something missing with Money in the Bank not being on WrestleMania. Now, in this version of Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 24 in 2008, CM Punk would win the Money in the Bank for the very first time, defeating Shelton Benjamin, Carlito, MVP, Chris Jericho, Mr. Kennedy, and John Morrison in 15 minutes and 12 seconds. The ending of this match is something that we all talk about. The John Morrison moonsault from the outside with a ladder to the floor to a bunch of people is something we all talk about. Shelton Benjamin going through a ladder, off the top of the ladder, out of the ring to the floor is something we all talk about. But CM Punk would eventually cash in Money in the Bank from this, of course the back-to-back winner of Money in the Bank. He was starting to cement himself as a main event player in 2008. This match was a lot of fun. I think something that, again, I'm going to ask throughout all of these matches is that if you like this match the most, or tell me something that you love from this match, tell me in the comments below. Tell Love Wrestling in the comments below. Let's get talking about this one. I think you can go back on whatever your version of the WWE Network is, whether it's on Peacock in the States, or whether it's on Binge here in Australia, whether it's on whatever it is, the WWE Network, whether it's on a cable service, I don't know, but you need to go back and watch WrestleMania 24 and really take note. If you watch anything from this show, obviously the main events, but Money in the Bank ladder match, this one in particular is really, really fun. Brand supremacy. Back when there was actually 2 brands that were separated. Batista, from representing SmackDown, would defeat Umaga, representing Raw, in a battle for the brand supremacy match in 7 minutes and 3 seconds. I don't really have too much to add on this match, other than, man, Batista wasn't really doing something of huge value in 2008 at WrestleMania 24, especially considering the year before, he went one-on-one with The Undertaker, and a lot of people thought that that was going to be the end of The Undertaker's streak, which, by the way, we're going to talk about very, very soon. But Batista would defeat Umaga. Umaga is a late great talent that was taken from us too soon, and he could have been a lot bigger than what he was within his time in the WWE, but hey, he got a WrestleMania match in there with Batista. For a long time, this next match was one of the shortest, if not the shortest, WrestleMania match of all time. Kane would capture the ECW Championship from Chavo Guerrero in 11 seconds. I believe that record was broken at WrestleMania 32 with The Rock and Eric Rowan, but I digress. There's not really much to say about this except that earlier in the night before the show even started, a 24-man battle royal to determine the number one contender for the ECW Championship was held. Like a pre-show match. I guess we'd now call it the kickoff match. This wasn't aired. I believe it's on the DVD. I believe. Kane would win by last eliminating Mark Henry. Now, if you remember in 2008, ECW was running on all cylinders, WWE's version that is. Kane would actually hold the ECW Championship for some time. He would work with the likes of Mark Henry, of The Great Khali, of Matt Hardy, of Christian. All of these people were battling over the ECW Championship, and it all started with his 11-second victory over Chavo Guerrero on the biggest stage of them all, WrestleMania. WrestleMania, especially now, is always sandwiched between multiple different kinds of matches. You have your championship matches, your Royal Rumble winner matches, you have stuff that's just on the card to fill some time, but then you have matches that are bigger than everything. They're almost bigger than WrestleMania. There's no other stage on planet Earth that you would rather have these kind of matches than at WrestleMania. A 21-minute and 34-second career-threatening match would take place that was named the 2008 Match of the Year for obvious reasons. Two of the greatest in-ring talents of all time would go at it, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Now, for months, Vince McMahon had come out and said, the next match you lose, Ric Flair, you must retire. Ric Flair said he'll never retire. He was going through the likes of MVP, Chris Jericho, all of these different people on his way to WrestleMania 24. The night before, however, Ric Flair was inducted into the 2008 class of the Hall of Fame. Of course, the lone soul ranger of that Hall of Fame. He was the one kind of raising the flag of the 2008 Hall of Fame class, as he should. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, in-ring talent of all time. Well, going on one-on-one with one of, if not the greatest, in-ring talent of all time in the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Listen, there's a lot to be said about this match. There's a lot to be said about what happened after this match. I see this as Ric Flair's retirement match. I know he had matches in TNA after. I know he had multiple matches outside of this match. He didn't really want to retire, but it was time. The lead up to this match, the Old Yeller comments taking him out to the back of the shed and finally putting Old Yeller away. I don't really think there's a better way to go out than having such an incredible match, and Ric Flair had not been having these incredible matches on a nightly basis at that age. He just wasn't doing it. Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, was having Match of the Year candidates every single time he stepped foot in the ring at WrestleMania. This one was no exception. I think there were so many things in this match that we knew going into, like we all knew. I think any wrestling fan would know that this is it. This is Ric Flair's final match. There's really going to be nothing more. There's going to be nothing bigger to end on than Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. It was just how we get there. Sometimes predictability in wrestling doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means let's watch the journey when we know kind of the destination that's coming. Now, I don't think that we knew exactly what was going to happen when this bell rang and these two wrestled. This was not about... I mean, there were some great spots in this match. I think we remember the springboard off the top of the middle rope to the outside, and Shawn hitting the announce table and kind of bouncing ribs first, and it looked gnarly. But the story of this match was surpassing anything that they were going to do within the terms of grappling. They were focusing on this story, and we know what happened. The sweet chin hit, and Shawn wouldn't pull the trigger. He wouldn't do it. Ric Flair was already obviously emotional. He knew what was coming. He told him to do it. And the sorry, I love you kind of lives forever. It will live more than wrestling will in terms of a true WrestleMania moment. The super kick, the cries, the tears, the 1, 2, 3. Ric Flair's career was over. His family was ringside. Charlotte was ringside. Everyone was ringside to see the final Ric Flair match in WWE. And Shawn Michaels and him had... I mean, I don't think it's arguably, I think it was the best match of the night, purely on a story standpoint. It's a match that will tell the test of time. It'll a match that will last any longer than we could imagine. It's a match we still talk about to this day. It's still on all of those wonderful video packages that I'm Sorry I Love You will live forever. Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. If there's any match from this WrestleMania that you need to watch, it's this one. Oh, we've come so far when it comes to women in wrestling. Beth Phoenix and Melina with Santino Marella would defeat Maria and Ashley in a Playboy Bunny Mania Lumberjill match in just 5 minutes. Exactly 5 minutes to be exact. Now, this was the last time the Playboy side of things was featured at WrestleMania. For a little while there, we're getting whatever diva was on the cover of Playboy and featured in Playboy of the month of April would be featured in a WrestleMania match. Now, because of WWE's going to PG just as this WrestleMania kind of started, or a little bit after that in 2008, that was no longer going to be a thing. So, of course, the Playboy bunnies, Maria and Ashley, were going against the women who weren't on Playboy, the quote-unquote wrestlers, Beth Phoenix and Melina. Of course, Santino was tied in there with Maria being his ex-girlfriend and then Beth Phoenix being his girlfriend. It was a whole thing. But the Playboy Bunny Mania match, I believe Snoop Dogg was involved in this one. So you could just imagine, when I say you need to watch this one, you need to watch this one. Now, for another reason you probably need to watch this match is because, of course, the only 4 women, well, if you count all the Lumberjills on the outside, the 4 women wrestling, of course, they were getting their time going through their stuff, and the lights went out. There was a spotlight in this match, so you do miss some of this match purely because it is dark and you can't see anything. But in the 5 minutes, that did happen, and probably the only spot you would remember from the 2008 Playboy Bunny Mania Lumberjill match at WrestleMania 24. Now, if there's one thing WWE likes when it comes to WrestleManias, they love a good triple threat match, especially in a main event slot. The WWE Championship was defended. Randy Orton would defeat Triple H and John Cena, yes, 3 of the biggest names this industry has ever seen, in 15 minutes and 10 seconds. There was a lot going on. John Cena had come back from the Royal Rumble to win his shot at WrestleMania. Triple H was the WWE Champion. Randy Orton became the WWE Champion. There was a lot going on here. They end up having a triple threat match that I don't think a lot of people expected Randy Orton to win. He would punt Triple H to win this championship, well, defend his championship successfully, I should say. It was, if you actually go back and watch this match, this was a match that I didn't realize was as good as it was. And WWE knows how to do a triple threat match. It's kind of their area that they are kind of experts in. They know what they're doing when it comes to 3-way dances, when it comes to triple threat matches, when it comes to 3 men in the ring, or women in the ring, battling it out inside the squared circle. This was the the co-main event of this show. Randy Orton, though, would defeat Triple H and John Cena in a pretty damn good triple threat match. Now, WrestleMania is all about featuring big celebrities to get more eyes, to get those casual fans watching the biggest show of the year. And I don't mean that punnily. However you want to say that word. A no disqualification match was held in 11 minutes and 40 seconds when Floyd Money Mayweather defeated The Big Show by knockout. Now, 1 month earlier, The Big Show would return to WWE and legitimately get punched in the nose by Floyd Money Mayweather, one of the biggest boxers at the time. He was money, if you want to say. There was a whole entourage of people, and Floyd Money Mayweather would defeat The Big Show via knockout at WrestleMania 24. When it comes to wrestling, there's not really much to analyze here. A lot of people have their thoughts on celebrities wrestling, or sports stars or athletes, whatever, coming into quote-unquote our world and diminishing the WWE product or the wrestling product. It just gets more eyes. It does what it needs to do. Big Show was a team player in this one, and damn did he get smacked in the head by Floyd Money Mayweather. Go and check this one out for none other than the reaction that Floyd Money Mayweather gets. It's interesting. And finally, in our main event, The Streak versus the Championship, The Undertaker would defeat Edge via a Hell's Gate submission in 24 minutes and 3 seconds, the longest match on the card. There was a lot of talk going into this main event that Edge's one and only WrestleMania main event, meaning quote-unquote the last match on the show. There was a lot of talk that the Edge was going to be the guy to defeat The Streak, was going to retain his championship and beat The Undertaker for the first time at WrestleMania. Undertaker has revealed very recently that that was on the table, and Edge said, oh no, this isn't happening. Edge was not going to beat The Streak. He had too much respect for The Undertaker to beat The Streak. Could you imagine a world we lived in 2008 The Streak was broken by Edge? I mean, two Hall of Famers, or now Hall of Famers, going at it in a damn good match. It had the Charles Robinson epic run down the ramp where he was just sprinting his ass off to try and get to the thing. We had the edge heads involved. There was a lot going on in this match too. A really, really good main event. A really good main event. Edge and The Undertaker will go on to have multiple other matches inside Hell in a Cell, tables, ladders, and chairs. They had a lot of stuff going on in 2008 over the World Heavyweight Championship. Edge, man, in there with The Undertaker, you can't hype it enough of how special that actually is. We just ran down WrestleMania 24. If you've never watched this show, go back and do it. Trust me, it's a really damn good time and you have a really great time watching this WrestleMania. One of the better WrestleManias of all time, in my opinion. My personal favorite WrestleMania of all time. But that's going to do it for me, folks. Enjoy WrestleMania this weekend. Enjoy the fact that the Legacy of is back next week. It might be a one for Zach here of Love Wrestling, but we are looking at the Legacy of Alicia Fox. Back to regularly scheduled Legacy of content. We got all of these episodes planned out. You can go to my Twitter to find out. Of course, follow me everywhere pretty much across the board at JoshRobinson_00. Make sure to follow Love Wrestling at Love Wrestling CA pretty much across the board as well. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, all of that kind of great stuff. Leave a comment below what you loved about WrestleMania and how excited you are to have the Legacy of back here on Love Wrestling. But that'll do it for me, folks. Until next week, have a good day. Peace out.